everyone, and welcome to my podcast, Pep Talks. I am your host, Cat Frisby, aka Pepper, and this is a GlowGirl episode. So in these episodes, we talk about everything that makes us glow from the inside out. So whether you identify as a girl or LGBTQ, alien, whatever it is, I'll bet that there are topics in these podcasts that will help you glow. So here we go. And welcome back to Pep Talks. This is a GlowGirl episode. This is the second time now that I have tried to record this episode. The first time the mic didn't work, and you know what? I'm totally fine with that because this episode is all about fashion, which is one of my favorite topics in the whole world. Because I live it. I am my own best canvas, and I just absolutely love dressing up in fashion and colors and all that kind of fun stuff. So part of the reason why I'm totally fine with this second recording now is that now I am blonde again. Thank goodness. I'm naturally a redhead, which is kind of odd because both my mom and my dad are redheads, and that's not supposed to make a redhead, but it did. And occasionally I'll try to go back to like my quote-unquote natural color, and every time I do, I could not feel more unlike myself. I mean, I can't stand it. I think redheads are beautiful, don't get me wrong, and every time that I go back to like that red color, or any red color for that matter, I'm like picturing all these beautiful model-esque women and redheads and some that are tan or pale or freckles or no freckles. I get really excited, and then I do it and I'm like, oh my god, I feel like mud. I just can't handle it on my own. It's not my thing. But anyways, if you guys are watching this episode, I am wearing a hot pink, or listening to this episode, I'm wearing a hot pink dress that I got for when the Barbie movie came out, so that I could go and dress up and just, feel a part of things and everything. And that being said, I also have a couple of other things. Like, I really enjoy, I've kind of discovered clear heels. Think what you may, or have whatever stigma you want to have. I mean, that just kind of comes with the territory of being somebody that just likes to dress up. But I love clear heels, especially in the summertime, because they go with like literally everything. These that I have, if you're watching this, you can see, they're a little dirty because I took them to Greece and I was like in the sand and everything with them. I couldn't quite figure out how to clean them. So I'm going to get another pair that are like the more clean, pretty polished pair, and these are going to be like my jogging pair. I'm just kidding. Maybe. But I found that clear heels go with like everything. So I'm going to go through a couple of my notes about the last time that I tried to record this podcast. I am currently in the thick of the woods of planning our wedding. And by planning, I mean we're like less than a month away, and I'm still buying decorations and plotting that. Now we're putting up tents in case it rains and blah, blah, blah. But I really wanted to record this episode so that I could at least get something out in the month of May. So I'm going to go and tell you a little bit about why I wanted to talk about fashion. This is definitely going to not be the last video or recording of fashion because, again, it's one of my favorite things in the world. So when I was a little girl, my grandmother was the one that taught me how to sew. I had Barbies, and I had these big dreams and ambitions and ideas about like what they could look like. I'm telling you, I've had this instinct in me since I was born, or I don't know. And so she would help me sew things together for my Barbies, which was awesome. It was like the beginning of a whole new world where I realized that my creativity and my ideas could turn into something visual. Like I could make them. Whatever is in my head, I could get out of my head and I could make it. It was so awesome. So as a child growing up, I kind of Frankensteined some of my clothes together. So what I would do is I would rip things apart and sew them back together. Like if something I didn't like sleeves on it, then I would take the sleeves off, see if I could sew up or hem up, if you will, the edges. Or shoes in particular, I thought it was just the coolest thing in the world that shoes could be made. Like it blew my mind. I was like, here's this very solid, firm, stiff thing, think of like boots, for instance, or hiking boots for that matter. And I was like, wow, you can make this? How does this get sewn together? So of course I could never figure that out, and I still haven't. But when I was a kid, what I would do is I would cut up some of my clothes and get the fabric off of them and like super glue or crazy glue patches or pieces of it to my existing shoes. Definitely wasn't the favorite thing for my grandparents to see me do to all these lovely clothes that I had, but I had big dreams and ambitions and ideas. So that leads me into something for a little bit of encouragement, and that is that say that you go to Goodwill, whether it's because, or any thrift shop, whether it's because it's easier for you financially, or because you're creative yourself, or because you want to expand your closet and you find something that you think that you like but you don't love it. Well, think about how you might love it, because it's always possible to change it. It was made in the first place. You can remake it. And as an example, the wedding's coming up, and I love this movie called Burlesque, and it's got Christina Aguilera in it. There's this one part of the movie where she's like lying back on a chaise lounge in this pink cocktail outfit with feathers, like ostrich feathers on the back and rhinestones on the breasts. And if you're watching this episode, you can see that I bought a version of it. So I looked up online this, and it looks kind of similar, but all the ratings were like 3 stars, and they were like, this is wrong. Like the top's too big, the bottom's too small, there aren't enough feathers, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, well, why don't I just alter it? So I bought it because it was cheaper to buy it and then alter it than it was to make it from scratch. And I hemmed it, so I just sewed in the sides because, yeah, the top was too big. Everybody was right. I put in some wiring in the cups. For some reason, there was like a space for it, but there never was wiring in it. That was interesting, but whoever it was did the work for me. And recently, I just bought a bunch of really inexpensive, like $6 for 5 yards, ostrich feathers to fill in the back end of it, which was totally right. It's pretty anemic in the feathers. But anyways, if you have an idea in your head, you can get whatever already exists and remake it. Sewing machines can be on sale for like 80 to $100, or maybe you could find one on Craigslist or something, and YouTube is usually free, always free, and you can just teach yourself how to sew. Sewing is, I was joking with my grandmother the other day actually, saying that sewing is like one of the most straightforward things in the world of like what to do and how to do it. But quite literally, it's straightforward. Get it? If you sew, you know what I'm talking about. So on the topic of purchasing things, so if you purchase things online, I love purchasing online. Amazon's one of my favorite places in the world. I'll go to Amazon and figure out how to explain what I want. And then once I nail down how to explain what it is I'm looking for, because like let's say this cocktail dress, for instance, I'll put into Amazon like the first thing that comes to mind, which is like pink ostrich feather rhinestone cocktail dress. That's a mouthful, right? But chances are keywords are going to get in there somewhere, and something's going to pop up and generate. And when those things start popping up and generating, then you can start refining what it is you're trying to say. So it'll say like pink cocktail dress or something, you'll find that wording. What you can do from there to make things even less expensive on yourself is to use that wording and take it over to yet another site like Temu, or gosh, I forget what some of the other ones are. but you can usually find it for even less expensive there. People have their own feelings about those websites, so look it up yourself if you're interested. I kind of have my own feelings about it too. But if you're running on a low budget, then that would be a good direction to go. Now read the reviews. So I am pretty good at research, and yeah, I'm tooting my own horn, but also I went to school for it. I went to college for research. I grew up with research. So with research, what I've discovered is in all of the comments on Amazon, for instance, you'll find ratings 1 to 5 stars. And pretty much anything under 3.5 stars or 4 stars is probably going to be a little janky, like not quite what you would hope that it would be. That doesn't mean that it can't be altered. So for instance, this outfit from the movie, this like remade recreation outfit from the movie, it was at 3.5 stars. I still gave it a go because I reviewed everything, and like I said, it said things like big top, small bottom, not enough feathers. And I was like, okay, I can handle that. I know I can. I know that I can generate or create, what I need to make it exactly what my dream is. And when it came to me, all of the comments were exactly on point. So read the reviews, read the ratings, read how many people rated or reviewed something, because just because something has 5 stars, that could be 12 people that bought something at 5 stars. If it's only that many people, you really want to read the reviews and see why they gave it that rating, because that's not necessarily enough to give you a fair enough rating of stars, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that makes sense. So let's get a little bit into how you style yourself. So as I was kind of touching base on at the beginning of this recording, is that people are going to judge you. In full summary, they're going to judge you. Everybody is. Everybody's doing it all the time. I don't care if you're an INFP or J. There's still judgment. It's still there. So don't be so concerned with that. It's taken me a really long time, and I'm talking literally since childhood, that I've been shamed and made fun of for how I dress. I mean, when I was in kindergarten, okay, I was able to dress myself. This was back when I lived with my mother, and she let me dress myself, and I dressed myself in Sunday dresses. So they were these big, fluffy, ruffly, like velvet red, whatever, Sunday dresses. So when I say I've been made fun of for how I choose to dress my whole life, I really mean it. So it's built a thick skin for me, and I want to relay this to you so that hopefully you can get onto the fast track, unless you're also kin to me and you completely understand what I'm saying. Another thing that's helped with me being comfortable with myself is I did burlesque for a long time. Burlesque is all about non-body shaming, so it's all body types, completely beautiful, honored, worshipped, and everybody can have their own flair to it. Like maybe there are some with humor and stuff like that, and that's fine too. Whatever it is that you feel like. So burlesque, other performance arts, stilt walking. I mean, some of the things that I was cast as, both on stage and during like live performances, were, absolutely utterly ridiculous. So you have to be pretty confident in yourself when, for instance, you're dressed up as Madonna with a short blonde wig, pointy bra, huge bow in your hair, and you're expected in feathers to dance on stage at a huge nightclub way up high on a pole. Okay, super uncomfortable, but fun. And so this leads me into what I'm really about to get at. So you're going to have times in your life where you may need to dress a certain way for other people around you to be comfortable. And I'll give you an example. So I worked for a law firm for a little while, and at the time I was pretty young, early 20s. I didn't have much money. I was working hard. I was working 2 jobs, a regular old thing that you always hear. And one of my jobs was a law firm, and the other one I was working at the Gap. And so I had a discount on clothes, but they were very pricey clothes, and they were much more casual style clothes. And I didn't have a lot going into the law firm to begin with. I had like maybe a pencil skirt and a couple of blouses. So after a little while, like a couple of weeks of working at that law firm, I would come in sometimes with jeans on because that's what I had, so I only had so much stuff. And there came a point where I got sat down and I don't want to say chewed out, but I was told that I definitely wasn't representing the office very well. Granted, I was the first person that people saw when they came into that office. So when you first see something, it's, judging a book by its cover or not, whatever you want to call it, you are going to have some minor amount of judgment. So it made sense to me that they said, we would prefer that you dress up, essentially. Although it hurt a lot. I felt like I was wrong. I felt like I was ugly, even though of course they didn't say that. I just felt like really insecure about myself and my choices. And also I was insecure because I didn't have enough money. So fortunately, my grandmother had sent me like a gift card or something to H&M. And at the time, the amount of money that she sent me was more than enough to buy enough things where, like, in a 2-week period, I could cycle through them in a crafty way and they'd all look different each time. So I did that, and I still had to battle with this insecurity. So here's what I did. At the time, I was getting heavier and heavier into performance arts, and I realized, why don't I just make a persona out of myself? This could be a lot of fun. I already like dressing up. So what if this is the law firm look and I'm sophisticated and I wear buns, and if it's not in a bun, then it's some other way, and I don't have short skirts or jeans, And so I created a persona and I made it exciting for myself. Something that you have to understand, people get very offended when an employer, for instance, will say, we don't want to see your tattoos. I have tattoos, by the way. I have 11 of them. Okay, do you see any of them? No, because I've put them in specific places, so it's a little harder to see. But I do get it. I do get when you're judged because you have, for instance, tattoos or a piercing or purple hair or something. But if you could see it for a moment from their perspective, as hard as that might be, maybe you could see why they're feeling that way. Because, for instance, it takes so much to create a business. So much. I know now for sure. I grew up with a family-owned public relations business. My grandparents worked at home. They were at home all the time. And so from the get-go, I already started seeing how businesses are made by individuals. And it's challenging and it's scary. And you have this big dream and this big idea, and oftentimes you need help. Whether that's because you made a bake shop and you need people to bake in your bake shop, or you've created a law firm and you've gone to school. And when I say school, oh my God, I was in paralegal school for a little while. Whoa, school for lawyers, that's a lot, okay? So going through all of that, spending all the finances on that, and then developing your own firm, no less. And then having to hire people like the desk girl or the paralegal. I mean, yeah, you're going to have an image. You're going to have an image that you have in your mind, a big dream. And maybe rightfully so, there are some options that are like, hey, don't wear jeans. You're the first person they see. What's up with the jeans and tank top thing? Not cool, So it wasn't that I did anything wrong. It's that I didn't understand, and they were relaying to me the dream they had, and then we collaborated and we made it happen. And instead of taking it offensively, I learned to take it in a fun and inspiring kind of way. So you're going to find these times where you're going to run into this stuff. Develop a persona. Enjoy it. You probably don't have to be there all the time. The moment you get home, you can strip and run around the house. Scream and holler. Or you could, dress up in this pink burlesque cocktail dress with rhinestones, and clear high heels. Whatever it is that you want to do. So don't be so bogged down that everybody else might have a different opinion. The other part about that is that people are going to talk behind your back. They do anyway, okay? in this world, the one that we live in currently, and this part of it's only going to grow even further, is that we're not psychologically really designed to handle the amount of input that social media, for instance, provides. So learn to wash away things. Present yourself how you want to. If you're not confident in it, don't do it. If you are confident in it, stick to your guns. People aren't going to like it. People are going to like it. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me, like adults, children, men even, that have come up to me and just said, you really inspired me. Now I feel like I can dress however I want, or I feel like I want to dress this way, or wow, you have a lot of confidence. How did you get there? How are you feeling? How can you share that information? And here I am right now doing that for you. Please be yourself, but know that you are in a world with a bunch of other people. And the world doesn't necessarily revolve around you, but in your own mind it does. So just enjoy it and surround yourself by the people that you enjoy, the work that you enjoy, the clothing that you enjoy. So if you've made it this far in this episode, I commend you. The rest of this is a little bit more like reminiscing, but we'll have many episodes like this because I do love fashion. I do encourage people to dress how they want to. But a little bit of background. So, as I said, I grew up learning how to sew and then basically Frankensteining pieces together and drawing things. I would draw makeup ideas. I would draw hair ideas. I would draw outfit ideas, obviously, even bathing suits and things like that. And when I think I was 16, maybe I was 17, I had what I consider to be my big break, which was essentially actually just getting my foot in the door. So I interned at these art galleries in Deep Ellum, which is like this little arts district in downtown Dallas. And it's a historical district. And as per interning at those galleries, I was also rubbing elbows with all these people that worked with fashion design, fashion companies, or ran fashion companies, or were designers. And I was too young to be on the runway at the time, but I was still there and I was watching it all unfold. And it was so exciting because up until that point, I felt kind of alone. Again, Frankensteining clothes together, developing ideas. If I was alone and had nothing to do, I was drawing clothing concepts. No one taught me this stuff. And so when I finally saw designers doing what I was doing, I felt at home. I was so thrilled. So I started learning all about fashion, diving deeper into it. And then, skip ahead many years. Well, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years. Anyways, I moved to Colorado and I started really diving deeper into performance, and then I was doing a lot more runway. That was super exciting. So for instance, I had helped open, by helped I mean I was one of the runway models for the show that was the opening of the Sherlock Holmes exhibit. And what that entailed was being in this steampunk kind of outfit. And oh my gosh, it was so cool. Here's a little bit of encouragement to be bold. So when you're a model and you're behind the scenes and things are all being put together, it's like a little bit of chaos, if not a lot of chaos. And I was given some stockings that had holes, like eyelet holes in them on one side. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And, of course I put those on myself. No one's going to put that on me. And my dress had like this split opening in the front. So you could see everything from the top of my knees down. And then in the back, it was curtained all the way back down to the ground, draping down. So you could see a good portion of my leg. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to put these on. And I put it on so the little eyelet holes were running down the front of my leg. And I come out of like wherever I was putting this stuff on, and the designer looks me up and down. I'm almost completed. And she's like, oh my God, you have those tights on backwards. She's like, I love it. And I was like, oh, at first I thought I was like, oh, what did I do wrong? And then she's like, that's great, that's wonderful. I did the same thing with this black wig once where I had to put it on backwards, but it turned out perfect because it was super edgy. So, no, I didn't look like Slash. It was really short. And so, anyways, when you screw up, let me tell you one of my favorite quotes in the world. If no one knows what you're doing, you are not doing it wrong. If that doesn't give you confidence, I don't know what could. So I go down the runway, I'm doing this gig, it's so awesome. One of my favorite things to do when I was able to afford it was I would buy whatever I was wearing from the runway and go home in it. And in this case, I wasn't going home, I was going straight from the show to the Polish ambassador who is playing at this venue that I just absolutely loved. And so I went up to the designer at the end and I said, okay, how much for the outfit? She told me, I gave her money. I said, I'm going to go see the Polish ambassador. And she was like, the Polish ambassador? What is he like? And it took me a minute because the Polish ambassador mostly is a lead guy of this music group. And it took me a minute to realize that she thought that I actually meant the Polish ambassador himself. And it's those little moments like that that I realize when I'm completely myself and I get to be bold and free, anything seems like it's possible. But anyways, I corrected her and I was like, no, it's a musician. And so I go to the show and this venue is gorgeous. It's like 3 stories tall or something, or 4 stories tall or something. It's got this huge ballroom, and above the ballroom are these giant purple chandeliers that come down by like 3 stories. And to enter into the ballroom floor, there's this grandiose staircase that's just wide and beautiful. And so I am thrilled because, first of all, a Polish ambassador and steampunk go together like peas and carrots, okay? Anything that could be even closer, like carrots and carrots, that would be if I dressed up reggae. But steampunk totally fit. So I came into this venue late. Everything had already started. Headliner, the Polish ambassador, was already on. And so like people were drunk and people were excited and it was like getting into the early edges of the night. So I go in and I'm looking for a couple of friends. I stand at the top of the stairwell and people are just gawking at me. I didn't mean to make an entry that way, but it turned out to be that way. And then I saw my friends and I made this serious entryway. I mean, hundreds of people were there. But for some reason, I was like the person on the stairwell going down the stairs into the sea of people. And so many people were watching. And I'm not saying that because I liked some kind of idea of like attention or fame or something. It was more like everybody thought it was so cool. It brought up the energy. It made everybody excited. It inspired people. You know, they felt like they were part of a big art performance. And they were. And so I got to be a part of that in my own way. And that was cool because I decided, I mean, if you were to see how I was dressed up, like you do have to be a little bit bold to go somewhere like this. But I inspire you to do it. Just do it. Go out there, have fun, explore, Frankenstein clothes together, learn to sew, get a sewing machine. You know, if you like, one of the easier things is if you don't know how to sew and you like that reggae or hippie style, you can rip things apart and like tie them back together. There's all kinds of creative things to do. Go find your skin tone matching colors and stuff and, you know, see what hair colors might feel good. Do your nails in different colors. My husband actually picked out this color this time. And have fun, enjoy, and thank you guys for watching or listening to this episode. I hope that I've inspired you a little bit to be yourself and explore. You know, you are your own best canvas. If you don't have a canvas and you're an artist and you don't have anything to work with, you've got yourself. So have a great day, guys. Don't forget to like or subscribe or follow. I watch all my comments and I reply. If you have questions, let me know.